Fast-breaking day of highly dramatic developments with the U.S. Capitol building being evacuated because of a bomb scare, Vice President Dick Cheney being taken to Camp David as a precautionary measure, and New York City's newly reopened airports closed down again due to FBI activity. Reportedly, the arrests at JFK and LaGuardia airports of 7 or 8 Middle Eastern men attempting to get on transcontinental flights with tickets originally booked for this past Tuesday. 3 reportedly produced counterfeit pilots' licenses. There were also arrests in Germany of people suspected of being involved in the plot to terrorize America, one of them a U.S. citizen. Meanwhile, the Defense Department says it is prepared for a sustained military campaign against the perpetrators of Tuesday's atrocities, a large-scale attack including land, sea, and air forces. And at the Pentagon and in Lower Manhattan, courageous and exhausted rescue workers continue to risk their lives in the fading hope that anyone is still alive. As you'll see in a bit, they've received, just in the last couple of hours, a surprise visit of encouragement from former President Bill Clinton. We'll have all that plus an exclusive interview with someone who earlier today received an intriguing call from a key aide to the world's most wanted man. Yes, Osama bin Laden. Stuck in L.A. 60 hours later, the air still carries the stink of the sneak attack that began the first American war of the 21st century. The mountain of still smoldering rubble in downtown Manhattan said now to contain the crushed and shattered remains of more than 4,700 victims. It's grudgingly yielding the occasional miracle of life. Several firefighters feared lost have been found alive today. But the digging, clawing, increasingly desperate search effort does not now seem destined to end the pain and suffering for most of the tens of thousands of grieving relatives waiting for word of loved ones unheard from since the flying murderers destroyed the Trade Center and perhaps our comfortable, confident way of life. And nerves are compounding grief. New York and Washington are rattled, shaken, edgy. Police action and perverse false bomb threats are causing frequent closings of institutions of various kinds, from the private school across the street from my girl's home in Manhattan to the Capitol building, the White House itself in D.C. Buildings are opened only to be closed. Commercial flights are started only to be stopped. Sirens pierce air still filled with the dust of disaster, and our anger brims at the bastards who have wrought this awful travail. And the head bastard, to no one's surprise, is Osama bin Laden. Tonight, U.S. government sources tell NBC News that based on overwhelming evidence, the Bush administration has determined that bin Laden, the master terrorist, is directly responsible for Tuesday's devastation. Federal investigators also say tonight they believe 18 hijackers were involved in the attacks. The FBI says all their names are known, a fact that provides the biggest leads in this rapidly moving investigation. They figure about 50 now total people involved in the conspiracy. And as NBC's Pete Williams reports, it is an investigation now on 2 fronts, identifying who carried out the attacks and those who survived, those who helped them. Here's Pete. There are 3 teams in there from California alone. They're from all over. New Jersey has responded. I hope the president himself will call. Here it is. Charisma unmatched. They're welcoming him back. You know, I saw him giving that patented Clinton hug to many of the devastated relatives, trying to give them some assurance, even though the situation, obviously, as you know, folks, as every minute passes, increasingly grim, that any of the original victims will be dug out alive. I understand the firemen rescued today were caught in a blast, in a collapse of a building. Of what was once a neighborhood filled with buildings I knew by heart is almost too awful, too big, too widespread to bear. It looks like Lebanon or Dresden or any other city destroyed by war, and it smells of death and dust and disaster. Watching these relief and recovery workers, these good men and women, and especially the cops and New York City firefighters who have lost so many and so much, all you can do is say thank you. But this is a scene, ladies and gentlemen, for which someone will have to be made to pay, not in dollars, but in grim and terrible justice. But no other country, no country other than Afghanistan, will likely be as profoundly affected as neighboring Pakistan, where our friend, the former Ambassador Hussein Haqqani, joins us now live. Mr. Ambassador, your lovely wife, our former producer, Farah, has given us what I think is breaking news. She's given us the Taliban. I guess this is now an aide to the Pakistani government, relayed this to you two. The Taliban government's conditions for handing over bin Laden. Let's put that super up. There are 3 basic conditions. Number 1, that a Muslim judge rules that the evidence against bin Laden is overwhelming. That evidence, condition number 2, is shared with the Taliban government in Afghanistan. And the 3rd and final condition, that the Organization of Islamic States passes a resolution unanimously to hand bin Laden over to the authorities in the United States in the West. Mr. Ambassador, do you believe that these conditions can possibly be met? Is this just another way of saying that the Taliban will not hand bin Laden over, or is this saying that there is room for negotiation?
I think that the Taliban are proceeding with negotiations, but I think they know, and the message has been communicated to them loud and clear by the chief of Pakistani intelligence, who is currently in Afghanistan, that the time for negotiation is over. I think there will be another round. There's a formality in Afghanistan that the Muslim clerics of Afghanistan will get together, and the Taliban leadership will consult them. It seems that the Taliban are not going to comply, and then the consequences will start following soon. The Taliban are now threatening Pakistan with terrorist reprisals, not overtly, of course, but those threats are very much there. The idea is to try and frighten Pakistan and to diminish the resolve of the Pakistanis to support the United States in this hour of trial.